Negro either.
That is traumatic.
Because that gives me trauma, okay?
Oh, we're up. Hi.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Episode number 45, Imogene of the Perfectly Incomplete. Oh my God, 45, y'all. Y'all know that's Donald Trump. Remember him? Neither do I. But I'm in the building, y'all. What's up, TT?
Hey.
What you laughing at?
45 is what I was laughing at, honestly.
Yeah, that kind of triggered me. I'm feeling a little bit of trauma today, y'all. Excuse me, I'm having a trigger, okay? How y'all doing? It's Mental Health Awareness Month, up and coming. We touched on it last time. We was talking about the Will and the Jada stuff. Anybody feeling like they've been like bugging out, tripping out a little bit? You've been feeling like you've been tripping out around people who just really be bugging lately? Is it just me?
I don't feel like anybody's ever bugging. I feel like it's always an issue. But we can talk about it. Because I don't feel like nobody ever just bugs out for no reason.
Like, you try to sound all smart. It's obvious if there's an issue, people don't bug off for nothing.
No, some people do bug out for no reason. Well,
there's a reason for everything.
There's a reason, but it's not, it's not like something that, it's not a situation where they're just,
Let me help you because I
don't know how to say that. I feel like you know what I'm trying to say, but I just don't know how to say it.
There's a reason. So my question is, are they tripping or are they traumatized? What do you think? Because there's a lot of weird behavior. Listen, I be around here bugging out my own self. People be looking at me like, and I be looking at them like, and they be like, what's up with her? And I'll be like, what's up with him?
Because I would say this, at least for me. Sometimes I do feel like I do be tripping. I do. Because some situations is just not how I perceive it. And how I perceive it is just not the way that it is. So that's like a moment where I feel like I'm tripping. But then there are moments where I feel like me personally, I'm traumatized.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk. Yo, that's what we're going to talk about. Are you tripping or are you traumatized? So just a little backdrop. I'm not finna go too heady, guys, but I got to make sure we all understand trauma for what it means. So when I speak of trauma, I mean the response to like something you saw or heard that really disturbed you in a deep way. It just was distressing. It was disturbing. And maybe you didn't have the coping mechanisms and you responded to it in a way that overwhelmed you. You had anxiety, you had fear, trauma. And everybody has had it. Well, stats, more than 70% of people have experienced one traumatic event. So in the way the world is now, everybody is experiencing trauma. So let's talk about it. Because I said, are you tripping? Or do we have trauma? Mental Health Awareness Month is coming up. A lot going on in the world. That fool or that man went in New York City subway and shot up people. Mass shootings. You got the war going on. Earthquakes, violence, all of this stuff. All of these sources of trauma for kids. Bullying, physical, sexual assault.
Right.
Like, it's just some stuff that's going on in the world.
Yeah, I can definitely say that. I feel like the one in the city just felt a little bit too close to home.
Yeah.
Specifically because like I've been on that train before. And when you go on like the N and the R, don't nobody think about those trains like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like when you think of areas where it's a little bit more high risk, you're not thinking about the lines of the N and the R.
So which line did this man, and just to drop the backdrop, I'm talking about the man
in
that went in Brooklyn, New York City, that shot up people and then turned himself in.
Right. So the line that he was on, I believe the N and the R, they run on the same line. One's express and one is local. So he was on, that area is predominantly Hispanic and Asian, like Asian American. So, which is like, if you had to think of Brooklyn, it's not like, how can I put this tactfully?
I don't know.
I'm trying to think of it tactfully.
Just say what you say.
It's not ghetto. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, then just say that.
I didn't want it to come out that way.
Why? But if that's what you felt like saying.
All right, whatever. So it's not what is perceived to be ghetto. Let's just leave it like that, because things that I think are ghetto aren't ghetto, but everybody that's a whole nother situation. But
so you're shocked that this man did that?
I was completely shocked that happened in that area.
So you think he's mentally ill?
I don't know what's wrong with him. I'm sorry. I don't know. I will hope that's that's the least of the issues. I would hope that it wasn't just, like, what am I going to do today? I'm going to go on the end of the R train and just throw a smoke grenade and shoot up the whole thing. I don't think people just think that way. I really don't. I don't think that. Maybe it's because I don't think that way, but I don't know.
With that being said, rhetorical question, but the whole world got crazy-ish like that going on everywhere, don't it? Not whether if they shooting up trains, they shooting up schools, they shooting up clubs, or interfering with the weather where there's floods and hurricanes and you got a war going on here. There's community violence, there's poverty, there's traumatic events everywhere.
Right. Yes.
So would you agree? Or what are your thoughts on, like, we just talking? You wanted to talk about trauma. Don't make me put you on the spot.
My thoughts on what? You asked the question, but never finished the question.
No, we're not going to do that.
You said, do I agree?
And we're not going to interrupt each other either. Because we're going to use relational skills. We both can't talk at the same time.
But what do I agree or disagree with? Because you never finished it.
I'm just trying to set the backdrop because I feel like you playing with it. And this is a very important topic because as we're focusing or designating a period in time toward mental health awareness, when that's done, national holidays or whatever, because there's significance to it. So this is very important. You wanted to talk about trauma. I think all of our viewers and listeners can benefit from this because everybody really is experiencing trauma in some event, and people more like that share our identities more so. So for me, it's very personal when I can talk to my people in this identity and talk about mental health and trauma, because trauma is the foundation for a lot of things. So I say that to say, but you brought the topic, so I need you to get with it.
You are in the middle of asking a question and never finished the question.
To me. Present to me. Let's really dig deep and have some deep, real conversation and have fun with it. And I'll drink to that. Toast.
Lord, have
we need to get some better cups. We'll get there.
So I'm not sure what the question was.
Basically, what I asked you, I said, so the guy who did that, you think he was mentally ill? You say you're not sure?
I will hope that there was something wrong with him. I really would, because I personally don't think people just wake up and don't like, I'm going to walk up to someone and just be like, yeah, you're the person who I'm going to kill. Like, I really don't think people think that way. I would hope, at least I don't think people think that way. I would think that there's something psychologically that to get someone to that point, it has to be psychologically driven. To get someone to that point.
Listen, the man he's sick in the brain. He got mind problems. You making it sound pretty and that's cool, right?
I'm dead serious,
he got some kind of mental disorder, right?
Like, what happens if he went to that area when he was like younger? So like we're talking about trauma, right?
I don't know because you never called it out. You never called it out what we're talking about. I know we're talking about it, but
you did. That's how you introduced the episode.
So what you're trying to say is,
I said I would
make sure you watch this one because you'll learn from this episode yourself. We hear about learning. Hey, I'm keeping it 100. I love you, baby girl. This is going to be a good episode, so let's really bring it. But you're saying trauma, identify it as it is. You made the point about him. You don't think people just think like that. I put it in the bigger context. That's the whole world. Him in the subway, that's just a small example of what's being represented in this world. Look at the state of the world with trauma. The world, let me give you some stats to put it in perspective. According to this survey or this company, I can't think of the name of it, but there's a range of between 61 to 70% of men have been traumatized at least once. And the stats is around 51% of women has at least had one trauma because you got different categories, one time, then you got chronic,
right?
Then you got the complex when you done had a whole bunch of stuff happen, right? So when I think about it, that man was just one example. Every time you turn on the media or social media or you're watching a movie, Netflix, you're always seeing something where there's trauma, just the condition. So I say, in the scheme of things, the way the world is, you got the war in Ukraine, right? And our NATO is right there. So people don't know it. That can be an indirect threat to us, a source of trauma, right? You have the things, the pandemic is still enduring and the political stuff that comes with that.
Okay.
And the economy, I don't know what that's doing. The housing market is changing a little bit. Like the rent, some places high. It's just shifting though. Like even the value of the houses and stuff like that. I'm just saying it's a lot going on and it's a lot of people got problems coping and it's a lot of people doing a lot of crazy things.
So would you say that that's the reason for people doing crazy things? Because I don't think that's a genuine reason. Oh, this is happening in Ukraine. Let me go ahead and do this. That doesn't make sense to me.
You know, we're speaking on the psychological. I never need you to get with me. Okay, what's up? You all right?
I'm trying. I'm really trying.
No, okay. When you mentioned psychology, so we're talking out now. When you mentioned for you to say there's a reason why people do things, but you don't think it's malice. It's because of maybe their makeup or their experience. What you were saying is a lot of people are behaving off of trauma, but you never explicitly said that. So I'm just saying, I follow you, but we got other people listening too, right?
They talking with us. Like I thought I said that, but okay.
That's why the team make the dream work. Any team will make a good team, right? So I'm just saying, when you think of the whole world, and we're talking about Mental Health Awareness Month, trying to put it in perspective to talk with our listeners and what they listening to us, right?
Mm-hmm.
That mental health is a thing. Trauma, mental health disorders everywhere. Depression, anxiety, bipolar, psychosis, all of these other crazy, the split personalities, all of this. And it may be a disorder, but a lot of disorders come from traumatic events. People think that you're just born crazy or whatever, and people could be like that too, your DNA. But life, trauma, when you witness stuff like this,
right,
that you can't cope, it's more than your mind can handle. Like the pandemic was a lot, and it still is a lot. So I'm not going to pretend here to be the psychologist with whatever, not taking nothing from them. I'm talking about real life, but it's just, it's a lot and it is traumatic and we need to talk about it because it's a thing and we need to know what it looked like to know so we can manage ourselves. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I feel like, so I get what you mean and I understand that, but it's hard to identify. Are there like specific stressors for, when we're dealing with trauma? Personally, I mean, yes and no. I think everybody has like their triggers. I do.
Yes and no. You can't do yes and no. Either you're going to do yes or no. Because I feel like you do
when
that.
When you see both sides of the story,
all right, but
both
don't
sides
say
of
yes
it, how
and
can
no.
you not say yes or no?
But for me to get it, say yeah, because in this way, but the yes and no in one sentence is too much for me. Say yes and then give me that example so I understand. Because I feel like you be trying to slide, yes and no, like you don't like to commit to what you're saying.
No, I'm very committed and intentional with what I speak.
It's interesting, though. Your point, that's why, because you do have very unique perspectives that I don't even think of that way. So it's fascinating to me. So I really want to hear.
Okay.
Yes and no. So were you're like yes and no? What was the question before you said yes and no?
So do I think that there are, because you were saying like, how do we identify trauma? So I was just like, well, are there specific stressors, that we can go ahead and...
Symptoms and identifiers are different, though. You just said, how do we identify it? And then you're talking about stressors. So I hear triggers.
Right.
So I hear symptoms to identify that, hey, this person may have trauma, right? That's identifying. And the stressors you were talking about, those are triggers, things that remind you of the traumatic event.
Oh, so then I had that mixed up then.
But that's why we all here to learn.
All right. Well, symptoms of trauma, I don't know. Like, I really don't. Like, I feel like people go through things. So, of course, you end up with the anxiety.
Have you ever, wait a minute, we're going to keep it real. We've had a traumatic event happen before in your life.
I had multiple traumatic events happen in my life.
So let's be real. Since we real and we raw and we real, just take a moment and just bring to mind a traumatic experience you had when you're saying the symptoms and just speak from your experience, just recall something that was traumatic, that was really disturbing and intensifying to your emotions. So much so that you had a reaction you couldn't really cope and it affected you, And a lot of people, after they experience something traumatic, they can't sleep or they have nightmares or they have flashbacks anxiety, depression.
That's exactly what I was just
like
saying.
Panicky, where you startled easily, you worry about the future, thinking, are you going to think about death? Which now times we all thinking about death. We really going to be honest with the times, but it's like you can tell when it's trauma informed or related to trauma, the intensity. I know it because I personally live with trauma. I manage it, I have a, program. I'm recovering. I'll always be recovering. I have a history like everybody else, but it's like those things I say. That's why I said, think back to something makes it personal, because by doing this is part of the healing anyway, how you bring it to the front and deal with it. Because I know you have trauma and you just did your nose and flicked it at me.
No, I didn't. I scratched the inside of my nose.
But you feel me?
And stood still.
So yeah. So you tell me, what was your symptoms?
So you mean to tell you exactly what I was saying before you interrupted me?
Yeah, Toni, let's not be doing all. You be doing this extra.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, but I want to make sure you understand too. Yeah, think back to a time, a traumatic event, whether it was your childhood, just you know what it is. That thing that's outstanding. When somebody said, think back to that time. And if you have a time, you know that time, especially if you're dealing with trauma. Like I said, and most of us are, we just don't know it. So if somebody say something to you to make you think about something and your reaction is like, oh, it's like, it's a trigger. That's a trigger. Somebody say or do something and it moves you emotionally in a very deep way. It happens to me from being in the Army or just my past, just experiences. I used to have nightmares and sometimes I would have these dreams. I've been sexually assaulted. So I would have these dreams sometimes. They would be like not cool dreams. You know what I'm saying? And I would wake up and it was just a lot. What trauma can do to you. Messes with your mind, your thoughts, the way you see the world. You're not trusting of people. I know it personally.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I believe you have some, even based upon stats. A lot of us got it. And we benefit if we know that it's a thing and look at it and try to deal with it, right? So, it's just a good thing. But anyway, and I know you have events. But I'm saying you can't talk about something if you ain't going to talk about it.
I was, but every time I start talking about it, you start talking.
I'm done.
Which is great. And I'm glad that you're talking about it. It's good because, again, like you said, it is important to speak about it. Because if nobody knows you are, there's no way in the world that you're going to be able to say that nobody was there to help you. So.
If nobody knows what?
Nobody knows your story and what you've been through.
So what's the point that you're trying to make?
It is important to tell people.
To tell them what?
Your story and what you've been through. You here with me?
Okay, no, I'm totally there with you. And I'm listening to you as a listener now.
Okay.
I'm not viewing this from co-host. I'm actually intentionally, we're having a mentoring episode right now. We're kicking it and stuff, right? But still.
Yeah.
So, but we relate and we trying to communicate effectively, right?
Yeah. So again, you can't expect help if you don't talk. And if you don't say anything. You can't expect anyone to know what you've been through unless you tell them what you've been through.
You're absolutely right.
So.
But what if people are just.
No, I'm listening. What if people
are just, they think it's a weakness. A lot of people think asking for help, especially mental, your mind's sakes, we're untrusting. You don't trust people and stuff like that. But what else you got? Some mental disorders, a lot of people, you may think it's just something as simple as stress or anxiety. And you say, I can handle it myself. But if it becomes chronic, right?
That's what I'm saying. When it begins to affect your everyday life.
I'm not going to say.
And even your relationships with people that you care about is when you really start to realize that this is a problem.
It is.
So recently, I'll tell a story. Recently.
Thank you.
My weekend, actually, we'll talk about this now. So I had a family member where every time the person comes around, they are just completely just out there. They want to drink very heavily for no apparent reason. They want to either get really, really, my family's really into smoking weed, and I love them for it. I don't. But they want to get really, really high to the point where they feel nothing. And I had a problem with that for a very long time. Very long time. Because I've seen them when they're not like that. So I'm like, well, what's the problem? Like, to me, it was just like something's going on and nobody's talking about it. And, you know, whenever they would come around, I would just completely remove myself because it would make me feel uncomfortable to the point where it was just like, I don't like you like this. And if I don't do something, like remove myself, I'm going to ruin the night for everybody. And it was always at family events is the only time I saw this person anyway.
The same person?
Yeah. So this time I wasn't having it. I'm getting to a point in my life where you're going to be here, you're going to be here. And if you're not, that's fine. But at least let's have the mutual understanding that you're not going to be here. And we can move on with that. So person comes around and they're doing the same thing that they do every time. So I felt myself getting angry because it was starting to really get up under my skin. And I said, okay.
What was getting under your skin?
Just when they would come around, it was always just like, no one cares about me. You guys don't care. You guys don't care. And it was just like, what are you talking about?
Just randomly they would say that?
Yeah, like, you know, we'll all be having a good time. And then out of nowhere, it'll be, you don't care. You weren't there for me. This happened and you didn't care. Nobody was there. So me, this person is well beyond 10 to 15 years my senior. So I'm like, all right, enough is enough. What is going on? Why are you so angry? What is this? Like, what is this? What are you talking about? This is not you. I've seen you when you're not this. So what is this? Granted, everyone's like, oh, Toni, don't make her talk about it. Don't do it. Don't do it. This is just who she is. She's all right. She's all right. We'll deal with it. It's all right. No, it's not.
Right.
And that's the problem.
Right.
That's the problem.
Right.
Everybody's okay with this person being this way. No.
Because you see.
I'm done. And it's because I was fed up mostly. Because you 10 to 15 years older than me. Anything that you have went through can't be my fault. It can't be.
Right.
I can't sit here and take responsibility for it.
Right.
And I'm not going to sit here and allow you to do this and not in front of me. I'm sorry. So I made her talk about it.
Yeah. And don't look at it as they're doing stuff to you. Like I hear you saying you're not going to allow them to do it to you. Like we said, when there's a reason for everything you do, behavior and outburst or whatever, anger, whatever you hear, it's a source. It comes from someplace.
Right.
And so like you're saying, you're not going to allow them to do that to you. A lot of cases, so many people are really unaware that they are suffering from trauma or dealing with it. You know, a lot of people don't even know like what it really is. And then it's like when you give the other person understanding,
right.
Like if you have outbursts, and I've had outbursts before.
Yes.
I really have. I really have. And
yes.
That's why I feel so good talking, because I can say whatever I'm really saying to y'all, it's the truth. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And some of y'all know, but I say, what was I saying?
When they're having outbursts.
Oh, you got to know that something's going on with them. You know what I'm saying? And they're not trying to do nothing to harm you. I've been in that position. It's like understanding, giving people grace, understanding you don't know what they're going through or what they're dealing with, instead of just saying, oh my God, you know, or even overlooking it, not saying nothing.
Right.
That's even worse.
That was the part that was annoying.
Yeah. That's what I hear you saying. So,
but when I said I'm not going to allow you to do this to me, I meant as far as I'm not going to take the blame for anything. I'm not going to. I can sit here and I can understand. And if I did play a role, tell me I played a role so I can at least, know what I did. So moving forward, I know how my role in your life affects you.
Right.
But that had nothing to do with me. It had turned out that she had been through a lot.
Right.
And it affected her romantic relationships, which affected, her relationships with her family. And it was a lot of old, I would say a lot of old stuff.
Yeah. And it makes sense.
It does. And it absolutely did. But then, we had a coming to Jesus, if you may. We sat there, we talked, she cried a lot and it was fine. And I was completely fine. But at the end of it, I felt really good. I can't say that because there was a better understanding of who and what she went through, of who she is because of what she went through.
Mm-hmm.
So now I understand. Now, we also had the moment of like, okay, we understand that this happened. But can you understand how this hurts us to see you this way?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I'm not the person that's going to be like, oh, well, this is happening, but I'm going to talk about it with somebody else and not let you know that you're hurting me.
Right.
It hurts me to see you this way.
Yo, that's real. That's real.
So if it hurts me, I'm going to tell you it hurts.
Right.
Granted, it's not your intention. You're trying to cope with it yourself.
Absolutely.
But it hurts to see it. And that's what I feel as if a lot of times when people are dealing with their trauma, that's something that they don't realize.
And so your
that it's
point,
not just you.
I get it, but so we're clear because you're giving nuggets, you're giving value. But when you're giving value, you got to make sure who's listening is getting the point. So what is the point in you saying all of that? Give them that power you just gave me because I felt that, girl. That was a word, okay?
So when you're going through things, essentially what I'm saying is that when you're going through things, yes, you're going through it, but you have to understand, you may not see the support that you have. You may not feel the support that you have, but know that there is always someone there watching. And it's not always just you that feels what you feel. And I feel like I'm getting ready to start crying. But it's not just always you that feels what you feel. It's not always just you that sees you in your moments.
Your actions affect other people. Right. So,
and it's not saying, and also another thing that has to be said, because I feel as if this is going to be, you know, kind of scathed over. No one is putting that pressure on you to always make sure that you're okay. That you always have to put on a face of, I'm okay. Nothing is wrong. And when I say this and when I speak this, I speak it to myself because I do it.
Really?
I do it a lot. And I do it very...
I didn't say nothing. I'm just saying
I do it a lot. And sad to say is that I do it very well, which is it's terrible. But yeah, like we're going to leave that where that is. No one is saying that you have to hide it. If you are having issues with trusting a person, find that one person that you trust. That one person that you can pick up the phone and be like, I'm hurting. I don't know what's going on, but it hurts.
Okay, so the point you made, I'm still trying to get it. You were saying your actions affect other people. Mm-hmm. And what you say, there's help out there for you, right?
There is.
Yeah.
There is. And I'm not talking about, it doesn't always have to be someone with a degree.
Yeah. It really doesn't.
It really don't. It doesn't take someone who
give me the experience.
Went to school for. My mother was my mother was the greatest person I could talk to.
How much time I got?
Oh.
Okay. I don't know when we started.
Why? Because I didn't have to say much.
To your grandmother?
My great-grandmother was something different. My great-grandmother used to look at me and tell me what was wrong with me.
Yeah.
And I love that because I didn't have to say a word.
That's when you really know people. Those are solid relationships where you get to that point. I don't know how many people experiencing that, but that's what relationship is really about. It's deeper, you know, and it's work and it's hard and it's a lot.
And you know, sometimes you want to sit there and look at the person and be like, I don't like you today.
But you know you connected. That's my concept of like a friend, a ride or die. I mean, someone who's going to be there regardless of what, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And it was great. I can't sit there and complain. My mother used to be able, Courtney, actually, what's wrong with you? And I'd be like, nothing. He'd be like, you're lying. Okay, I am. And I don't want to talk about it. I'm fine. I'm all right. I'll be all right.
But just like you're saying, so we're not being hypocritical, you're saying tell somebody, but like you just said
it's not easy to tell somebody.
Okay, though. But you got to you don't have to, but we know it goes back to when people are experiencing trauma.
Right.
Right. Or if they got PTSD or they got anxiety, usually it comes from that. Right. So you got to know what it looks like. You got to know what it looks like, you know, and that means you got to check yourself. I always say, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Take some time to be with yourself and just really slow down a minute. Just slow down a minute
It's hard though.
No, but what's the other choice? We running around here like we crazy, tired, just stressing. We really don't have to be stressing. If we just take time, and a lot of us living from the outside, we should be living from the inside. You feel me?
You're right. You're completely right.
Yeah. And that's my philosophy of what it is. But since we're here, let's recognize it for what it is, that this is what we're doing, right? All right. My behavior, what's going on with me? Let me take some time out and see what it is. And you, like you say, you identify it. If you can handle it, you handle it. If you can't, don't be afraid to reach for help, right?
It's hard. It really is. Because it goes back to, what we said about like reaching out is not a weakness.
It's a strength.
It is. It really is. But it's so hard to come out of yourself to get to that point sometimes.
Yeah, it's a journey. And it's still a choice. But you got to know that's the better road. Whenever you bring the fullness or the trueness of you, that's the best road you can take. Even though it's hard, you go through things. Listen, I know. I say it when I'm on here a lot. I've been through a lot of hard times, from jail to addiction to divorce. I'm a veteran. I've just had some times. And I'm still here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's just really, really important. And it's not nothing to be ashamed of. And even for those people that try to deal with it themselves, because there's some things I do to deal with stuff. I pray a lot. I meditate. I write the things you hear. Music really. I was
going to say writing.
Music does me good, because if I listen to music, it opens up my spirit so I can really pray and release, It just sets the atmosphere for me to connect my spirit with the divine. I'm saying, even sometimes when I'm having me a margarita or I'm having me some wine, I'll be buzzed up. But I still be in my zone. I'll be buzzed up whether I got my gospels on or I'm listening to the 80s or 90s.
Right.
And that don't even matter. It just be the spirit that be inside of me.
Right.
It's like even if I'm bumping off of something or I'm just, cruising, it's like the spirit, I'm reaching out for the divine as I know it, God. And I'm listening to my music, I'm sipping on my sip, and I'm getting in touch with the creator, but it's me in my own world, like kind of going inside, and it's working for me.
Well, that's good. Yeah. I'm still trying to master my coping mechanisms.
So what do you do?
Right now, well, at least I've been doing things that I have learned in my therapy previously. So I've been writing. I really do. I write, and you know how you meditate? I can't close my eyes when I meditate because I feel like I'm going to fall asleep. I don't like the way it feels. I don't know why. But I do deep breathe, or I do the audible breathing where you inhale through your nose and then exhale through your mouth and hum.
Yeah.
But your mouth is open.
The mantra. Yeah.
So that feels really good, and it calms, especially with the anxiety. And, sometimes my partner, he comes over and he'll be like, "What's wrong with you? Are you okay?" And I'm just just trying to relax.
But those things help. Those, your breathing.
It does.
It does. And some people say, "Oh, that's corny." No, it's not, because you can really regulate that aspect, even though you breathe, but you can be intentional with deep breaths or, you inhale for 2 seconds, hold it for 2 seconds or whatever, have a technique with it. And you'd be surprised, just that the air, oxygen, your body needs that, right? Just calms you down. And that's a good tool to use when you're having anxiety.
Right.
Or you're having a trigger or something like that,
Then my biggest thing is just to leave. That is the easiest thing that I could possibly do. Leave and just seclude myself and really just focus on myself. Because I feel like if I stay in the situation, I'm going to focus on everything else and the situation.
Yeah.
Instead of focusing, okay, what does Toni need to do to be okay?
Yeah.
Because then afterwards, and then I don't like to do the aftercare.
And I think that's really smart.
The aftercare, I can't do.
I think that's what you're supposed to do. If that's where you are in your journey, where you remove yourself, because it's a journey, right? But I think that's pretty sharp. It's intention, because you make a decision that, okay, I ain't trying to do this. I ain't trying to do this, but this ain't the space I want to be in. I need to be in. You know, you go where you need to be. You ain't flipping on nobody, saying whatever.
Right.
That's your boundary that you're making sure you stay on this side of, right?
I love that because that's also another thing. Don't be afraid to set boundaries. There's nothing wrong with that. Ain't nobody going to sit there and say that. That's my biggest thing, especially within our community.
Who are you talking to about?
So like when you're finding out your coping mechanisms, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're finding out like this is what happened, or better yet, you know what happened, but you're trying to deal with it before it deals with you. You're being intentional with all your practices. Now, you're realizing sometimes at least in my experience, what I've realized is that certain people set off certain things in me.
Mm-hmm.
So what I had to do to, make sure that I stay in the place where I like to be.
Stay out of jail, huh?
Prison. Because jail is too short. Prison is what I'm talking about. But to make sure I stay out of prison, I gotta, just go ahead and say, this is that line. Don't cross it.
Your hands do be going. You do be
the box.
You do be doing that.
The box in which I live, the bubble in which I dwell. Okay, my own special sphere in my head. That's where I like to be. And for some people, I have to set boundaries.
Yeah.
I can't have them have that access to me like they did before. And the reason is because you put me where I don't want to be.
And the way that I interpret that was powerful. You have to have boundaries. And I think we all benefit with boundaries.
I do.
If we're dealing with things, or if you're dealing with things you're trying to recover, you know where you are. You know what you can handle. You can even make a decision beforehand. I have situations where because I kind of know myself and I know if I'm around certain people, but if I have to go to this place, and if I don't have to go, I won't go because I don't really like being around people that I ain't really feeling. You know what I'm saying? But if I got to be already predetermined ahead of time, my plan, what I'm going to do, because I'd be like, well, I know this might happen, or,
You got your exit strategy going.
Yeah, I'm already knowing how I'm a deal with it. So, but it's about when you know yourself like that, and if you're working on your mental health, where you're trying to recover from trauma, it's little steps. It's a lot. It's work. It's little things you can do. But even that one thing right there, you can do that, and it's like you have control. You take control over. Well, like you be in a situation. And listen, I've had some outbursts. I've made so much progress. I would really go off. You understand me? I punched somebody in front of the police. That's really bad. But I done my time. So y'all want to talk about me. It is what it is, right? And I have made so much progress. And at the time, I was like, yeah, and I'll do it again. You know what I'm saying? That was my attitude, right? And when I look at myself, I'm like, oh my God, look at me. So that's why I say I've been through a lot of things. I've had a lot of hard times, and I'm still here, and I got a good life. And God has blessed me the way I understand it. And I go through a lot of things, but life is good is what we make it. But you got to have love, and you got to have God with however you conceive it. And that's what the world needs right now. So I think this was a beautiful topic, trauma, and we can
go on for hours about this.
We can, and we're actually early, but
So can we discuss boundaries real quick?
Absolutely. I was going to say we can. I was just going to recap the points.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
This is a good conversation. Taking care of your mental health, knowing signs, or if somebody calls something out to your attention about your behavior, and don't take it so personal. They see something you don't. That, the Johari window, there's a blind spot, right?
That's your blind spot?
But yeah. But y'all, this is just good conversation. So I say it's been nice chatting with you. And you actually did some work tonight. I had to push you, and we're learning. Learning.
I'm glad I did a good job.
Yeah, you did do a good job. But had I not put you on the spot, you
probably wouldn't have done it. You right.
Yeah.
And I'm not even gonna lie to you.
So it's been real, y'all. And and check yourself. At least know the signs of traumatic events. We all done been through some stuff. And if there's something from your past that you're dealing with, and that's really giving you these symptoms or making you feel down, or, take the time to check in with yourself to see what's going on with you. And if, you're off the path a little bit, get you some help. Reach out to somebody you trust, or pray, however you want to do it. But focus your attention on your mental health, man. The little things you do. You know what I'm saying? It's a process. And just take good care of yourself. You owe it to yourself. We in this thing together, but we really win when we can move through this alone. You know what I'm saying? So that's where it's at. It's been real, y'all. Appreciate y'all. Subscribe to my channel.
Wait, can you say that last part again? You can't, because I feel like people lost that. I'm sorry. You're going to have to say that again. I'm sorry.
Yo, I forgot what I even said. I can't.
Oh, I'm sorry. Because it was good. It was good. That's why I was like,
I can put effects on it, but you can't keep doing it. Like, some things just come in the flow, But yeah, take care of yourself and subscribe to my channel. Leave me some comments, you guys. I'm gonna be here. This journey, even with this whole podcast and what I'm trying to do, walk out my purpose. I've been running into a lot of things challenged, right? But I believe I have a purpose, and I'm gonna stick with it. And I'm getting older. I'm becoming a senior. And that's why I want to do it, to let other people know as we get older. Like, a lot of people appreciate youth, and youth is beautiful. We had it, but you have value at every age, 50, 70. I'm 57, and I'm living my best life. So you can still do what you're doing, still take care of your mental health, still take care of you. Take care of you, okay? That's like really where it's at. I'm nice like a mug. Let me get a sip.
You gonna delete that, right?
I'm chilling, right?
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to us. We'll catch you next time.
All right. Yeah, deuces, y'all. Share this video and subscribe to my channel, guys.